Gordon, I'm hoping that you can comment on the healthcare catastrophe that's happening across Canada. There's something I know little about. It's called MSI. What is MSI, and walk us through what it was, what it is, and could it have a rebirth?
Well, in the 40s, the College of Physicians and uh, there was another group, but the Colleges of Physicians was one of the groups, and they organized and started a company called Medical Services Inc. It was voluntary. It was very cheap. It was organized and formed by the doctors, and you could join the MSI group, and it was like a shared cost, you know. And that MSI was extremely cheap at the time. And then along came the federal government. They could see the potential of this system, and so they came and they basically took it over from the Alberta doctors. This Medical Service Inc. was taken over. They bought them out, and then they promised when they did that the Alberta healthcare wouldn't go up, and it was taken over by the federal government, the federal Medicare system, healthcare system. And within 2 months, the cost of medical insurance doubled. So they were good to their word. They did what all governments do. They lied about it and doubled the price of it. So it was an outstanding program. Interestingly, my dad was a very ambitious farmer, and he was pretty bright. And I remember my dad telling me at the table, he said, that's the end of cheap health care. From now on, he said, you watch and see what it has. He said, this health care is going to skyrocket. And it did. So where's the health system today in Canada? It's absolutely collapsing. And I think it's like 30% or 40% of every tax dollar goes towards the health system, and the health system is cratering. How can that be? Unless the money's being misused and misplaced. But I have a really good friend from there in Alberta, and he just came down to visit because his daughter's getting married here, and it was really interesting. I just talked to him 2 or 3 days ago. He has to have a knee surgery, and he's having to go to Great Falls, Montana to get his knee surgery because he can hardly walk. He's become an absolute invalid because of his knees, and he needs to be able to do his farm work. So he's made arrangements to have his knee done in Great Falls. I'm not going to tell you the cost, but it's fairly expensive because he's a Canadian, and Alberta Healthcare won't contribute one dime. But he said they've been putting him off for over 3 years to get this surgery. He said every time he goes in, they push it another 6 months out. They push it another 6 months out. He's got to the point now where he's wearing braces just to go out and do his farm work. And he can't tolerate the pain, and he can't do his work. So he's made the decision to pay for it himself, and he's going to have it done in Great Falls. So that tells you a lot about Canadian healthcare.
Wow.